Well, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Sunday school video. I'm actually here with Emily this time. Everybody say hi, Emily. Emily, say hi back. Yep, all right. So we're actually, this is our free time. Emily and I are both at Spruce Lake, and we're here on a marriage retreat with First Baptist. So far it's been pretty good. We've learned quite a few things. Our speaker's name is Peter Pendell, and he's had some good things to say so far. Emily, what would you say is the most important teaching that you've heard so far this weekend?
Don't kill your spouse. That's probably the number one thing.
All right, you guys heard it straight from Emily's lips. Do not kill your spouse. Take that with you wherever you go. It's a good life lesson. But really, it has been some good teaching. It's been some good time just being able to think about what it really means to be married and to have this relationship together. I think for me, the foundational part was that it is not a contract, like you would think of like your phone contract where you're just always looking for that better deal, but instead it's a covenant that we have with God. It's not even a covenant between each other, but there's a third person, there's God involved, and that's a totally different perspective because it's not just about us and it's not just about me, it's really about God. So it's been really cool. We've enjoyed this weekend. Thinking about marriage, when we were getting married, we had to get ready for the wedding. We were putting together our registry for all the gifts and stuff. And we went to, was it Bed Bath & Beyond?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Bed Bath & Beyond. And they suggested, when we were picking out plates and dishes and stuff, they said, you guys should have two different sets. So you have like the common stuff that you'd use on a daily basis. And then you have the fancy set, like the nice stuff that you only pull out on special occasions. And so we did that. We registered for that, and people gave us both sides. We have the normal dishes, and we have like the fancy stuff. And so a lot of times, like when she and I have like a date night at home, and I cook dinner for her or she cooks dinner for me, we'll pull out the fancy stuff, like the really nice stuff, because it's like a special occasion and we'll celebrate. And then also whenever we have like a nice dinner party or something like that, like back in, I think it was in February, we had the seniors over. And we pulled out the nice stuff for them. We wanted to make it fancy and special. And there's something about that, when we have somebody important over, or we're doing something that's like just we want to mark it as special. We pull out all the stops. We pull out the nice things. People talk about the Sunday best when you go to church, wearing your best outfit or like dressing up in a suit, that kind of a thing. And it's like wanting to present the best part of yourself before your fellow Christians and before God. And it's supposed to be like a sign of respect and a sign of reverence. Well, our passage today ties into that. As you guys have been following along, we've been going through the Gospel of Matthew, and we finished chapter 25 last time. So we're really getting close. We have 26, 27, and 28. So 3 chapters left before the end of this gospel. And we're really getting close to the crucifixion and the resurrection, like the crux of the Christian faith, the most important part. So I can't wait to get there. But let's read today's passage. So we're in chapter 26, and we're just going to be doing through verse 13. So starting in verse 1, going through verse 13. And it says this: When Jesus had finished saying all these things, remember that we just went through a whole bunch of different parables, he said to his disciples, "As you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they plotted to arrest Jesus in some sly way and kill him. But not during the feast, they said, or there may be a riot among the people. Now while Jesus was in Bethany, in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor." Aware of this, Jesus said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." So that's our passage today, and it's kind of split into two parts. So on the one hand, we have the plot to arrest and ultimately try to kill Jesus, and that's put on by the chief priests and the elders of the people. Like, these are the leaders of the Jewish people who are supposed to be spiritual leaders, and they're plotting to kill somebody. Put that in context. Imagine that Pastor Miller, Pastor Ian, and myself got together and we decided, you know what? We really, really, really don't like that Dave Spatz fellow. So you know what? We're gonna get him arrested and we're gonna kill him. That sounds really sinister, right? Well, that's exactly what's going on here. And what's really important is that Jesus is aware of it. He's not even there with them, he's not in the meeting or anything, but he knows this is gonna happen because that's what's been foretold. He knows that he is leading up to his death. And so he's trying to prepare his disciples for that. So that's going on in the background, and that's gonna lead up into the next couple of chapters and what goes on there. But I really want to focus on the second part of this passage, and that is the woman who pours perfume on Jesus. Now, we talked about wanting to pull out the fancy stuff and, show our best side to God and to other people. And, when we want to make something special, we do what we can to make it special, And that's what we see this woman doing. She recognizes Jesus as this special person. She recognizes him as the Messiah. And it seems that she's even aware of what is going to happen. Like, she somehow knows that he's going to be crucified and that he's going to need to be anointed for burial. And so she pulls out all the stops. She wants to make it special, and she offers him the best of what she has, this alabaster jar of perfume. And she pours it on his head, anointing him. Again, offering him the best that she has to offer. And we see here the disciples, even at this point in Jesus' ministry, they've been with him for several years now, and they're still a little lost. They're still a little behind. And even though Jesus has predicted that he's going to die, they use the word indignant in this verse, but it just means like they're in shock, and they're like almost upset by what she's done. They're like, how could you? Like, this was an expensive jar of perfume. You could have sold this, gotten a lot of money, and then given that money to the poor. Wouldn't that have been a better thing to do instead of wasting it? Because, you generally don't pour an entire bottle of perfume on yourselves. Ladies, you need to be cautious about how much perfume you wear. And guys, I made this mistake in high school. Cologne is nice, but when you spray it 4 or 5 times on yourself, it's not nice anymore. It's a toxic cloud that follows you around and smothers the people around you, okay? So when she poured this perfume on him, I guarantee you, people could smell Jesus coming from a mile away. So you don't pour this much on a person, like generally, but she did because it was an anointment. And the disciples, of course, are unhappy about this. And Jesus he rebukes them. He's like, guys, she knows what she was doing. She was doing something special. She recognized me for who I was, and she offered me her best. And you guys can focus on the legalistic side, like the whole you could have given this money to the poor thing, but the poor are always going to be here, and I'm not. I'm only here for a little bit longer, and then I'll be gone. And she's giving me the best of what she has to offer, and you guys are making excuses, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. And so I think the thing that we can take away from this passage is partially what people do with church. They kind of want to put on their Sunday best and present the best side of themselves and kind of make it special and show respect and show reverence. But even that sometimes can be taken legalistically. Like, they taken as, you're just kind of checking off a thing, like, oh yeah, you dress nice for church, that's what you do. Rather than getting at the heart of it, which is what this woman did. She had this expensive jar of perfume that was probably worth several years' worth of a salary. And she offered it to Jesus. She gave it all to Jesus as a sign of respect, as a sign of reverence, to show him how much she cared about him and loved him and respected him. And I think we need to do the same thing in our lives. I'm sure many of you guys don't have a bottle of a perfume that's worth several years' worth of money, but we all have those special things in our lives. We have our lives in and of themselves. And as disciples of Christ, God calls us to offer our lives as a living sacrifice to him. And I guess the question is, are we willing to do that? Are we willing to pour out our life to Jesus, to offer him everything that we have, the best of what we have, and hold nothing back because we love him? Are we willing to do that? Are you willing to do that? And that's just something to think about. You know, I think it's pretty challenging. I often do not give God my best. I'm sure Emily doesn't give God her best either all the time. Like, we're fallible that way. We mess up. But when we really think about it, that's what we have to do. That's what we're called to do. We have to give our entire lives. And so I hope you guys will think through what that really means for you. What does it mean to give your whole life to Jesus? To live every moment, whether it's at school or at home, for him and with his glory in mind. Food for thought. I'll see you guys next week.